reality is that soulful work is work we receive. We don't choose it, we don't assess it, we don't argue with it. The head has no say in matters of the soul. Some of us go through our entire lives feeling justified in listening to our objections, but there will come a time when the soul finally makes itself heard. It's been keeping score. It has noted every time you let it down, denied its voice, shied away from its call. It's noted every time you gave in to your fears and stepped back into the false safety of your unlived life. And it feels cheated by you. So put your objections away and embrace the purpose you've been given. Accept it with open arms and bow your head down in gratitude. The gratitude of a receiver who has been gifted something beautiful, something magical, something divine because your purpose was placed within you in the moment of conception. As the Persian poet Hafiz says, this place where you are right now, God circled on a map for you. When you step fully into the circle, the universe will celebrate you wholeheartedly the way the jungle celebrated Simba in The Lion King when he accepted his place in the circle of life. You have accepted your part toward the healing and happiness of the universe, and it will now work for you. This is the foundational philosophy of Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist, where he writes, when you really want something, it's because that desire originated in the soul of the universe. The whole universe conspires in order for you to achieve it. Doors will open and abundance will flow in. People you could have never imagined will enter your life, eager to help. Some days it'll feel like you're walking on a cloud because your heart is so happy. Other days you'll feel it's not you, but a force flowing through you, that you're the tap and not the water. In reality, you're both. It's what the second half of the spiritual life is all about. Living with purpose. One of the key challenges in this second half of the spiritual journey, especially for women, is that our roles and responsibilities never quite end. We continue to be caregivers or bread earners. We continue to expand our areas of engagement and influence, all of which take up time and energy. Time and energy away from the purpose that we've worked so hard to find. It seems we have only three choices: wait for the right time, leave our current work in pursuit of our purpose, or try and have it all because anything less is not acceptable to a mind raised on a steady diet of perfection. All these choices deny an inherent fact of our humanity. We are each many selves, and a well-lived life is less about having it all and more about honoring them all. In her beautiful piece titled Of Power and Time, Mary Oliver identifies two key selves, the social self and the creative self. The social self, she writes, lives in the real world and is fettered to 1,000 notions of obligation. She's the one who remembers doctor's appointments, makes sure homework gets done, and stays up to complete the unfinished slide deck. Women's social lives take up a huge chunk of our lives given the many roles we play. The creative self, on the other hand, lives beyond the real world. It doesn't care if the laundry gets done or if our boss praises our ideas. But it does care very deeply about our purpose because it has a hunger for eternity. The social self makes the world go around. The creative self moves the world forward because it isn't bound to social norms and expectations. It was my creative self who offered Zoom gatherings to hundreds of women when the world shut down in the early days of the pandemic, even though I'd just lost 3 premolars and there was a huge gap in the upper left side of my mouth. The kids were aghast and wondered whether I'd also lost a bit of my mind. My social self panicked. Would people think the same? Would they laugh? Should I wait until I'd filled the gap? My creative self refused to wait. My purpose in that moment was loud and clear. Teeth didn't matter. In our everyday lives, though, they do matter. We do, after all, live in the real world. To live a purpose-driven life, we have to integrate the creative self into our ordinary lives with our ordinary concerns, roles, and responsibilities. This is feminine spirituality. Not either or, not black and white, not all or nothing. As Mirabai Starr, author of Wild Mercy, explains, it is both and, because it is underpinned by the matriarchal acceptance and union of paradox. It is not life in a dojo, nor sailing above our emotional lives. It is about being connected in empathic bonds with the whole of who we are, so we can say yes to a purpose driven life even while doing the dishes, earning a living, or holding space for your difficult teenager. Here then are three ways of doing so. 1. As part of. You can create purpose within your work or any task you do or role you play by bringing your strengths, passions, and motivations to it. This can take a couple of forms. If your calling is to send your kids to a private college, you can engage in a soulless but well paying job as the gateway to your purpose. If it is to make people feel valued and worthy, you can listen more deeply or take a genuine interest in people's goals and aspirations. Purpose is less about what you do and more about how you do it. You can also substitute some of your current tasks with what feels more authentic and meaningful. This is called job crafting, a widely researched concept first introduced by Amy Reswitsky and Jane Dutton in 2001. The purpose is to craft a job, a relationship, a task, or a perspective so it's aligned with how you work best, where you can contribute the most, and what you feel most called to do. An understanding of purpose as part of is also hugely helpful in organizations because many leaders believe that if they were to help their employees find their purpose, they would leave. Quite the contrary, research shows that job crafting leads to greater engagement, job satisfaction, and motivation. 2. Separate from. If your work doesn't allow this kind of flexibility, you can do purposeful work on the side as a hobby, a passion project, or as a community or mentorship work. This idea can sometimes sound unappealing. I've had clients say, but shouldn't my purpose be central to my life? Not really. Purpose doesn't care how many hours you devote to it or how much space it occupies in your life. Time and again, I've seen clients find incredible joy from simply spending a couple of hours a week doing their art, helping out in a soup kitchen, or whatever else is calling them at that stage in their lives. 3. Instead of. Only a very few of us are able to turn our purpose into a full-time career. If you're contemplating this route, make sure it's not a hasty decision. Have you saved enough to sustain yourself until your pursuits bear financial fruits? Do you have a plan for the unexpected and resources you will lean on when it happens? It's a big decision, so take your time. Talk to people. Is what you're contemplating the only way you can express your purpose? Experiment to see whether you truly find the joy and fulfillment you think you will. Too often, I've seen women get hung up on a certain idea and end up with both emotional pain and financial fallouts for acting too soon.